I'm Johnny Smith.
I'm Richard Porter.
And this is Smith & Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars and many other things.
Right.
Okay.
It's a little bit of context on this one. It's the evening after the podcast that you heard last Monday, which was on stage at the Festival in Exceptional.
Yeah.
We're now back at Johnny's house.
Yeah.
And sort of recovering might sound a bit dramatic because...
Well, the turbo's spooling down.
It's like an old turbo, like a turbo from the 80s. You've got to leave it ticking over for a bit to cool down.
Oh, yeah, turbo
before
timer.
You shut off the engine or you will do damage. That's us now. We're just idling on the driveway.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I had the best day.
It was
Festival Exceptional.
It was really good.
It was so nice. The cars were great.
The enthusiasm was off the boost gauge.
Well, the people, the enthusiasm and the people generally were just so nice and so friendly. And the atmosphere overall was, good vibes. It's the only way I can describe it.
Sweet vibes, Rich. Guys, the vibes were so good. There's so many Zs. Guys, the vibes. And I said it before, the juxtaposition between a mint condition shitboxes and a stately home is just genius.
Yes.
It's the thing that I wish I'd thought of, actually.
Well, now I took a load of photos, not photos. I'd be embarrassed to share them on the socials because they were done to aid my memory. So I'm just looking through some of my photos. The last one I took was of a lovely couple leaving in that delightful sort of light bluey green Fiat Multipla. It was tidy.
It was.
And the lady who had got a pint on the go in the cup holder.
And a paper bag on her head.
Had a paper bag on her head because I believe her opinion of the Multipla was not shared with her partner who was driving. He clearly loved his Multipla.
But I think it was high spec because I noticed two sunroofs.
Yeah, yes, you can see them. They're popped in that photo and it's on the alloys as well.
The other thing is what I forgot about because I saw it from that profile angle.
Yeah.
Is the rear windscreen over vertical? The rear window.
Is it over vertical? I think maybe it's an optical illusion because it sort of bulges at the back, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like a Harry Potter Anglia.
I've just zoomed in there. I'm not sure it does. I think that's an illusion there.
No, maybe it's just vertical.
It's very vertical with a sort of curvature at the top. I don't know.
It's mad. That car, to this day, it's crazy.
It really is, isn't it? They signed it off. They just went,
yeah,
screw it. Yeah, why not?
And if you've ever seen Jeremy Wade doing River Monsters, which was I don't know if it's still going, but it's a TV show that I was really fond of when I used to have a late dinner and I just wanted to watch something completely different.
Yes.
I'd watch Jeremy Wade's River Monsters because it's just the way...
I don't even know what this is.
He's a fisherman.
Okay.
He's a very serious...
Jeremy Wade and he's a fisherman.
Yeah, he's a very serious sounding looking fisherman.
Okay.
Rod fisherman.
Yeah.
And he used to catch these sort of elusive, almost folklore-esque fish in different parts of the world.
Okay.
All over. I say used to, I'm sure he's still doing it. And so Jeremy Wade's River Monsters. He would be...
About the title, it sounds mad. Sounds like something we go, oh yeah, that was on the Six Music in session. Jeremy Wade's River Monsters. I've never heard of that.
It's brilliant.
But he's a rod fisherman, so he thinks like nets are for deviants. You can't.
Oh, nets are
cheating.
Nets are for dicks or
children use nets.
But the reason why I'm saying this is because I think the Fiat Multipla in that generation it's got a very big face with tiny eyes.
Yes.
And Jeremy Wade went fishing in Chernobyl.
What?
It's one of my favourite episodes. He got permission to fish in the cooling reservoirs
oh my God.
of Chernobyl. And there are gigantic catfish.
Are they mutated?
I believe so. But they were like most catfish because they're in darkness, they're very deep.
Oh, yeah.
They have huge heads with tiny eyes.
Okay.
And they look like Fiat Multiplas.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thinking, Jeremy Wade would see the advantage of a multipler.
Yeah.
3 abreast front seats, good sized boot if you drop the last row of seats, fit loads of rods in.
Would he insist on fitting some sort of aerial system to the roof to replicate those antenna that the Catfish have?
Oh, I bet he would actually.
Or maybe he could sort of replicate it by stealing the enormous overhanging door mirrors off a Bova coach or similar.
Yeah.
Actually, hang on. I think we fitted those to a Fiat Multipla on Top Gear when we made a car for elderly people.
Yeah, I think you did.
God,
You
I
really
just
just
realised I'm sort of plagiarising my own ideas here. But yeah, we did that when we did the elderly person's car.
I before I go any further, I want to say how funny I think the name Bova is.
Bova.
If you said that in a West Country accent,
Bova.
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 Not being funny, mate, but I just put Bova mirrors on my car.
I've got
Bloody
Bova
amazing.
on the Rover.
I got Bova on the Rover. Bova.
Where I just remembered that when I first drove a Fiat Multipla, it's a left-hand drive one on Italian plates in, would that have been 2000, 99 or 2000?
Yeah, it would have been Millennium. Just before, yeah.
I drove it, I had it for the weekend. I drove it up north and I gave a lift to a mate of mine. She needed dropping in Manchester or something. And my brother, I picked up my brother from Coventry where he lived at the time as a student. And the three of us sat 3 abreast of the M6 because we could and just enjoyed the fact that people were staring and kids were pointing from the back of cars, like pre-camera phones or widespread camera phones. There was no sort of people taking pictures, but you just see heads turning. It was a real, but so I told you this earlier today, but that when we went on holiday last week, the first thing we did, between going from the airport, picked up the hire car, heading to this house that we were renting, stopped off at the supermarket to get supplies. As we got out of the car, there was a beige Multipla driving across this car park outside a Lidl in Mallorca.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, there's a Multipla. I haven't seen one for ages. But then my boy, who's 9, has never seen a Multipla. And he went, Dad, what's that car? Yeah. I was like, oh, well, that's a Fiat. And he went, it's so weird. But he meant it in a sort of kind of like, wow, look at that way. He wasn't going, blah.
Did he mention Jeremy Wade or River Monsters?
He didn't. But I can go back and quiz him if that's what was next on his mind.
Yeah,
before
I'd
he
like.
got distracted by going to Lidl to buy pastries.
But it is a character car. It's got something interesting about it, and it is massively practical. Although I know a lot of people shoot it down just on the basis of it being different.
And they bottled it with a facelift as well.
The facelift was a terrible idea.
Quite expensive, I'd imagine, because I had to bring the whole bonnet up to. But when I first borrowed a Multipla, the other thing I just remembered to say is talking about the lights, the Catfish lights. It was in the car park of the Beeb where I was working, and it had the lights just below the windscreen.
Yeah.
The headlights in the sort of conventional position.
Yeah.
And then fog lights in the bumper on the up specs.
3 layers of light.
3 layers of lights. And I can't remember, was it the mid ones were the headlights, the upper ones are the high beams?
Oh, that's right, because why it's got such small catfish eyes, it can't fit all the beams in.
And then obviously the front fogs were just separate. But we spent ages trying to work out if one person could sit in there while everyone else watched and they could make the lights go off sort of top to bottom or vice versa. I don't think you could in the end, but you could make them quite rapidly all go off in different sequences. I don't know why we were doing that. I think it's just because it was such a novelty to have all of those light bits separated.
It's the kind of car which would suit a LED, quite concealed roof light bar, because then you'd have another row of lights.
Oh, yeah.
So you'd have ones just below the screen, ones on the roof, ones in the right place, and ones in the bumper.
Well, maybe, what's he called? George Wade?
Jeremy Wade.
Jeremy Wade. I knew it was a jest.
Jeremy, look, you look
Jeremy
him up,
Wade.
he's got quite a skeletal face.
Oh, has he?
He's quite skeletal and very, very... If you just heard his voice, you'd think he was a Shakespearean trained actor.
Oh.
I don't mean trained by Shakespeare.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jeremy Wade.
I mean, he looks like he could be a Shakespearean actor.
Yeah, maybe he was. I don't actually know. But I know he's great at catching big fish with a rod.
Okay. We have sort of drifted away from our lovely day at the Festival of the Unexceptional. And one of the things I was going to say before we forget is we wanted to say thank you to everybody who came over and said hi to us.
Yeah.
Said they listened to the podcast.
Yeah.
And especially to people who gave us things that and we're both rubbish with names, aren't we? But there was a lovely guy who gave us a set of Dennis bus and coach lapel pins.
Oh, yeah.
Someone else gave us Ford and Vauxhall badges, promotional badges. There was Emma, who gave us a full cream tea.
I was just about to say, we must say a massive thank you to Emma.
A toy eagle to go on the back shelf of the eagle.
A plushy eagle. Emma Griffiths, you went above and beyond with all of your sort of picnic eagle. And you helped to give out the Fresh Brute.
Oh my gosh.
Aftershave, which I thought wasn't going to be that popular.
Well,
and
I have got a photo because when we finished the first round of the quiz and said, oh, by the way, there's Brute here, please come and help yourselves. The army of people that marched on the stage, it felt like, well, in fact, it's not George, is it? Jeremy Wade, who I've only just discovered, would probably recognise it as like putting a bit of food into the water when there's loads of fish. That's what it felt like.
Oh, yeah.
People were keen for the Brute.
Just a rampage.
Which was interesting. And also it's helped you out because it's got rid of all that Brute that you ordered years ago.
Yeah, well, the self-levelling back suspension is thanking us on the way home.
Yeah.
It's a little bit lighter.
It had got that, though.
So we need to say thank you to all of you lot. Obviously, to Haggerty and the Festival of the Unexceptional crew. But also need to say a huge, guys, thanks massively to Dynamic Classics, who agreed to repair and buff the Eagle.
Yes.
And because of various boring logistics, which I won't go into, ended up having to turn it around in about 4 days. And the door bottom on the coach-built door of the Eagle was rotten as an arsehole.
Yes.
So it needed a new door skin.
Charming turn of phrase.
I thought it needed a little bit of repair. It turns out it needed an actual custom outer skin making for it.
Yeah.
And these guys turned it around because they knew it needed to be on display at FOTU. Is that how you say it?
I would say FOTU, yeah.
FOTU.
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 Festival off of the Unexceptionals.
Out of Unexceptionalness is
sort of
FOTUs, yes.
So it's that.
So I can't believe that they fabricated a new door section so quickly and so perfectly.
Yeah. And then, and again, and thanks to Nielsen, who the car cleaning products, who managed
not the
to
singer.
No.
You can't live.
No.
If living is without cleaning products and aircon boxes are excellent.
And thanks to you both for really sprucing up the Eagle, and it looked exceptional. And we're very proud to have been given a little space to put it in there. We were informed that it was probably too special for the festival of the Unexceptionals.
So we do appreciate not only an exception being made, but they're actually allowing us to park it right next to the stage where.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a bit of us nobbing around, some of which you've heard already, but also then there were some much more serious things like a talk about sustainable fuels, and which is very relevant to the sort of classics world, but also a little panel talking about 10 years, because it was the 10th anniversary of FOTUs, off of the FOTUs, and the band on.
The band were really good.
They were really good, weren't they?
I felt bad that we overshot on one of our chats and pretty much robbed the band of 10 minutes. You think about the drum solo and the keyboard solo and the bass solo you could do in 10 minutes.
I don't think they were that kind of band.
All right,
maybe they wanted to be, but we crashed their set.
Well,
so.
Yeah.
So there was that. There's all sorts of stuff going on the stage, but all of it had to happen with our silly limousine part next to the stage, which is it was very nice of the Haggerty people to let us do that. Now, because I was mentioning free gifts, I'm trying to think what else we got given that we need to say thank you for. But you've got there.
Well, I've saved the ceremony for while we're on mic, so that you can enjoy the moment with us, listeners. So I've got a sort of a travel pouch here, one of these recyclable bubble pack pouches, and inside you might hear that's liquid. This is, I mean, clearly a sweet guy, because just wouldn't have done it otherwise. Sweet guy called Duncan Beddoes. Yeah. Cheers, mate. Thanks, mate. Bye. Hope you might enjoy this strange collaboration. Well, Richard, can you describe this for me?
Well, it's a bottle of Iron Maiden branded wine.
Red.
Now, it's quite a busy packaging because it's... Johnny's passing it to me so I can properly look at it. The bottle is wrapped in a sort of paper wrap, but then it also has a bit of string round the neck with another label on it which says Eddie's Blend. And on the back... Oh, and on the back it's got, you can write, it's a gift tag.
Oh, great.
Interesting. Then Iron Maiden in the accepted Iron Maiden typeface. But then underneath, Eddie's Blend on the tag, and underneath Iron Maiden says Darkest Red. Now these are written in what I would say is a sort of faux...
Shogun.
Shogun, exactly what I was going to say. Like, not the off-roader, but as in like a sort of faux Eastern...
Karate thing.
Yes, karate, high karate label.
Yeah.
And that's, so you go, okay, well, we've got two, we've got the Iron Maiden logo and we've got that. But then down the bottom of the bottle, or the outside sleeve, it's got Dorodoc
Sleeve.
written in what seems to be 80s sort of LCD typeface, and I don't understand why. That's too much. And it's, on the back it says, best enjoyed with the volume up. Go on.
We'll share.
Get that open. We're going to actually...
We'll share a picture of it for the Patreons.
You can hear Johnny's watch just beep there to signify that it is 10 o'clock at night.
It is.
And so, you know, we're not doing this at 8 a.m. or something that could cause you to be worried about us more than you might already be.
Well, welcome, the Iron Maiden breakfast wine.
Yeah, ideal for a rocking day ahead.
The guy who actually gave it to us, Duncan, did actually say, he said, well, if you're still brushing your teeth whilst listening to Iron Maiden, he said, you can brush your teeth with this.
Why not?
I'm not going to brush my teeth with wine. I'm not a maniac.
Particularly red. I mean, God. Unless you're using the red like a disclosing tablet. You know, there's ones where you can see where you've missed bits when you brush your teeth.
Oh,
just take a good swill of this presumably quite thick red that Iron Maiden have.
Iron Maiden boozy disclosing tablet.
It's,
I've been
well,
called
we'll see
worse.
what it's like. It's a very thoughtful.
Do you know what? I think it is full.
Present.
It's 13.5%. It's dark, intense, and robust red blend from the Douro or Douro. The palate delivers a crescendo of blackberry, ripe black cherries, and plums layered over subtle spice and a bold, rich finish. Selected by the band and approved by Eddie, this wine has been expertly crafted in tribute to all things Iron Maiden. Good friends, good music, good time.
I knew that was going to be the last bit.
Yeah. I'm excited by this. I mean, it's not relevant to cars
Good
at all.
friends, good music, good life repeats on the TV.
It says love, live, laugh, and then drink wine for breakfast.
Did you see that thing on social media the other week? Someone had bought two frames, sort of in the spectrum of live, love, laugh. They bought two frames, and one said inhale and one said exhale, but the words had been broken up 2 letters per line. So it said INHALE and then exhale. But they put the frames too close together, so it appeared to sort of say inex. It was just gibberish. I'm too tired to work out what
I'm
it
going
actually
to put.
said.
God, that
Is it punchy?
smells really interesting. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
I know.
That's plums. I can smell the plums.
Is it?
That sounds wrong.
I got a first hit of it, quite sherry-like, a sweetness to it.
It does say cherries in the description.
No, sherry.
Oh,
that
sherry.
might be just psychosomatic because it's from Portugal, and I was oh, maybe it's sherry, or port. Maybe it's port.
Potes.
I can smell a bit of port in there. Well, this is a new one for the podcast, I think. That we're actually opening and pouring wine.
Well, we're not. This is. I haven't drunk any
Here we go.
booze today.
Oh, it smells nice in the glass.
Do you know what I did? Because
gonna try
the thing, going back to festival off of the Unexceptionals, the only it's lovely when people want to chat and share their kind of car-based happiness, and it is wonderful.
Yeah.
But the slight frustration, from my perspective, is when you do so much chat during the course of a day, you don't really get to see that many cars.
Yeah.
So I ran around in the last 15 minutes looking at some of the concours examples of the mark.
They were concourse examples of.
And they were concourse examples of the rare but nobody cares mark. But I had to shove my head into the open window of a Subaru Justy.
Oh, yes.
Which had a really hectically patterned, almost moquette interior. And it didn't half smell good, but it also was so bright and brilliant.
Yeah.
Like real 90s. I think it was a
Yeah,
1992 or 93 car.
Yeah.
And it brought me I just smiled. I think I might have looked special. Actually, the way I reached in, smiled a bit, and then just took my head away. You've probably got a photo of that. Justy.
I don't. I thought you took one because I didn't.
I've got an
say-
internal photo of the Justy.
Well, hello to the chap who came over and said, when we were talking the other week, Johnny's just tried the wine. It's all right, isn't it? It's quite fruity.
That's got some weight.
It has got some weight.
If that was an oil,
yeah, that's like a
50,
yeah. Oh yeah,
30, 50.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's not leaking out anywhere.
I know that. You'd run a really, really solid like stationary engine on that. That could chug on that for a long time.
Oh, thank you to the person who gave us a part for a stationary engine as a glorious in-joke. And also the chap who gave me the Haynes manual for the Rover 2300 and 2600.
Yeah, that's cool.
Lovely thing. It's got some handwritten notes in the front from previous owner of the manual and presumably one of the cars.
What it just said, I hate this engine, it's shit.
Yes. Oh, God, why didn't I get the V8? No, it's got... I haven't got it to hand now. I don't know where I've put it. It's probably still in the car. But one of the notes in the front is just he's made a note of the number of turns lock to lock of that car with and without power steering.
What?
I know. And there's quite a difference as well, like a really big difference. Yeah. I wish I had it to hand now, but I don't.
I think it's in the kitchen, Rich.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you can run in and get it.
Well, no, I want to show you this. So anyway, I want to say hello to someone who came up to us and said the other week we were talking on the podcast about, prompted by a listener's question, what is the best looking saloon derived coupe?
Oh, yeah.
And he suggested 406 coupe, and then we were struggling a bit to think of anything that's better looking.
Yeah.
Someone came up to us today and went, you forgot one. W124
Mercedes
coupe, and we both went, ooh.
It's true. It's pillarless as well.
Yes, but then I saw 406 coupe there in that yellow.
Oh, yeah.
It still cuts a dash.
Do you know, that does look exceptional.
For the tape, I'm showing Johnny a photo of this. Yeah, 406. It was just leaving, and I was like, I've got to get a picture of that because it's so pretty.
I was annoyed after we recorded that cast because I always come up with better ideas after we've finished filming. Of things to say, and I realised Mark 1 Ford Granada,
Yeah.
the coupe. I mean, that the saloon is extremely handsome.
Yes.
Is the coupe better looking? It's a really cool car.
Well, no, but the question wasn't, is the coupe better looking than the saloon? It was just, what's the best looking saloon-based coupe? And I think the 406 is still just nosing ahead. Although
is the 406 coupe still fairly worthless?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't think they're, I think they're super sought after.
And they never did a 405 coupe, did they?
They did a Paris-Dakar car that was a 405 coupe, and there was a rumour that they would make a sort of road car version, and it never came to pass. I don't know why.
Of course they did the 405 Dakar rally car thing, wasn't it? Harry Vatanen drove one, didn't he?
Yeah.
Harry Vatanen.
So one of the things that I'd sort of take home from the Festival of the Unexceptional is that I know we say rare but nobody cares, but today sort of proved that people do care.
Yeah.
Not loads of people, but
enough people.
Enough people.
There were 1,000 classic cars there today.
Were there?
Yeah, I think.
What's making that noise behind me?
It's a flipper clock.
Oh,
see in the corner there. It's the one that I got. The one that I sort of took from my local bank.
What?
A few years ago. Yeah. So I went into I went into my local branch of Lloyd's, and they were shutting down for a refurb, like an intensive refurb that was going to take, say, 3 weeks. And I didn't go in there that much, but I always admired they had an old school, big, like sort of railway station style flipper clock behind the reception. And they went, "Oh, we're closing next week, just so you know." And I went, "Okay, is everything being..." She went, "Oh yeah, it's all changing. It's completely changing. Everything's coming out." And I went, "Okay, what are you doing with that clock over there?" And I just gestured to the clock, and she looked at me like I was a bit odd, and she went, "What? I don't know. I presume it's going. It's quite old." And I said, can I speak to the manager, please? and sure enough, she called the manager and he came out smiling. And I said, look, I've just heard that you're shutting to be refurbished. I've been a customer of yours for, 30 years. See that clock over there? If this place is being refurbished and it's surplus, can I have it? And you know what, to his credit, he went close to my face. Not in a sinister way. He went close.
Right.
He went close to my face and he said, "Next Wednesday, be here at 4 p.m."
Oh my God!
And I went, okay, and I did. I made a note of it, and I came back, and I just went there, and they were just about to shut for the refurb. He saw me, and he just took it off the wall and walked up to me and went, "There you go," and they went, "Off you go." And I just went, so I got a clock from a bank manager.
That's fantastic.
And it's quite old, but it's bloody brilliant. But it is a bit vocal because it's a flipper clock.
Yes. I had one like that. It wasn't as good. I bought it from John Lewis and it broke really quickly. And
Yeah, that's a bank clock, so that can't lie.
They can't.
Also, if you ever you're staying overnight in this house tonight, but you're not sleeping in the front room. If you sleep in the front room, say on an inflatable mattress, which a friend of mine has, he said, when the clock strikes midnight, it wakes the dead.
Everything flips.
It just goes.
Yeah.
So he said last time he said he wrapped a pillow in it.
What?
He took all the cushions off the chairs and put them all round it because he couldn't bear it. See, I'm one of these people that I can sleep at King's Cross railway station if need be.
It's always good to have that in mind.
Off of all
if
that.
the eventuality came up. I was just looking at some of my other photos. Did you see the lineup of Mark 1 Focus's eyes?
No.
Yeah.
I saw one
Hatches, yes, but then also there was a saloon.
I saw the
estate.
immaculate, like jade greeny saloon, emeraldy colour.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yes. Good showing from the Mark 1 Focus crowd. Somebody said they saw them coming in, but they weren't exactly all in line or something. The marshals were trying to sort of make them not park together, and they just stayed focused and all wanted to park together to put on a unified front of all body shapes of Mark 1 Focus.
Was it a caterpillar of Ford Focuses that just keeps streaming in?
Well, it sort of sounds like it might have been, so that was good. That Fiat Argenta, I mean, that's an obscure car.
That is surely the sort of poster child of Rare But Nobody Cares.
I think, for people who don't know, that the Argenta was an early 80s heavy facelift of the Fiat 132 saloon. And it was launched in Britain around the time of the Falklands War. And it was called the Argenta, as in sort of derived from the word for gold. But people in Britain only saw a car with a name that was a bit like Argentina, who we were at war with. And so it absolutely tanked in Britain. I had a lovely chat with the guy who owns that Argenta because I said, this must be the only one left in Britain. And he went, well, actually, there's two.
Let me guess. He owns that one.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
But then he went, this is not a UK car. This is a Republic of Ireland car because it's a Mark II Argenta. I didn't even know there was a Mark II Argenta. There was a facelift of the already heavily facelifted car. And they didn't even bother to bring the Mark II here because it was dead.
Wow.
But it still went right-hand drive production for Republic of Ireland and Malta.
I bet it's so damn rare.
Oh, God. So the other car...
And it was in good condition from what
yeah, it was all right. I mean, for a 40-odd-year-old Fiat, it was hanging on in there. But yeah, just a fascinating thing to see.
Yeah.
And also just a pair of absolutely standard white original shape Megans and that yellow Megane Coupe.
Love a Megane Coupe in the yellow.
It's just, why is it? I don't know. It's a sort of Proustian rush of seeing these cars that you just don't see around anymore. Because I don't remember having any particular affection for the Megane, but I saw those two parked together. It was quite sweet. They saw the owners, I guess, had sought each other out, or they knew each other, and they parked their cars next to each other when they could. But there was a lot of that going on.
There was, and I'll say it once and I'll say it again. People used to buy colourful cars.
It's true,
and it's sad that I think there's almost a fear of buying colourful cars now, in case people judge you for being individual, or there's a residual fear, which is a shame because let's face it, most people don't really own their cars; they just lease them. And I'm just so bored of grey black and silver and white cars.
It's
frankly.
true. It'll come around again, maybe, because things are cyclical, aren't they?
It's got to, because it's reached the point of saturation of just boring Soviet-coloured cars.
And my favourites, interesting coloured, but also just I really like it because it's just I like them. I can offer no justification to that. Is one of the commended cars in the judging that was in the concours section, the green, Applejack green.
Oh, gosh, I know.
Early Mini Metro.
Wow.
Belonging to the Reverend Colin Cork, the former Vicar of Longbridge. A well-known Allegro and general BL enthusiast.
Yeah.
And that Metro...
And a base model enthusiast, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He loves a base model.
Though actually, isn't that really, really minty Allegro that he had extensively restored? Is that not a 1750 SS or something?
He's got an SS. I think he's got a base model Allegro, he's telling me, and he's got a base model Princess.
Okay.
And I think he said the base model Princess is in even better condition than that Metro, which you and I both know is unbelievably clean and tidy.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, we talk about a clean example of the Mark. Oh, you've never seen anything quite like it.
I remember talking to Colin Cork at the Pride of Longbridge Festival one year when he got, I think it was freshly restored, that Allegro 1750, and he was saying that to make it all absolutely perfect, the way that Metro was, we looked under the bonnet, he got the bonnet up and I was looking around it, and it's got all the original stickers under there.
Yeah, it's so good.
And
Honestly.
he did the same with the Allegro, but he managed to get, I don't know how, he ever made, or maybe they're new old stock stickers for under the bonnet of his Allegro. But he was saying that left him with a dilemma. Should he try and put the stickers on absolutely perfectly lined up?
Yeah.
Or should he just slap them on really quickly, which was more authentic to the way it was done in the factory?
Oh, yeah.
And I noticed actually under the bonnet of that Metro, the stickers were sort of maybe a tiny bit skew if one of them was. And he's like, I guess probably if he had to redo that, he's done it authentically.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you could be too pristine, over restored, if you like.
But again, this is part of the charm of Festival of the Unexceptional, and I want to say thanks to a couple of guys that came up to me. One was 17, one was 18. They came up at different times, and they just wanted a photo and to say that they loved this event because it made them feel like there were cars that were attainable for them, that were interesting, that they could work on themselves with cheap parts that could be insured as a 17, 18, 19-year-old.
Yeah.
But not only that, it was like you could turn up and absolutely win a competition at a car show with a car that was perhaps 1,500 quid.
Yeah.
You know, and not an expensive car to insure, and you're like, yeah, totally. It just championed that true quirkiness and individuality of like, yeah, I've got a 1993 Subaru Justy. It's got an interior like a school bus.
There was a young woman who was her car was commended, I think, or won one of the trophies in the final judging, and it was her grandma's car, and when her grandma stopped driving, she was like, I'm going to have to get rid of the car. I think this was the story.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I'm getting this wrong. And and this young woman, I guess she's in her 20s, early 20s. She went, no, don't get rid of the car. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And then wins a trophy at Fotu. It's it's a whole different world. But I find it more appealing than. There's nothing wrong with early 70s 911s and things like that.
No.
Love them to bits, but. It's nice to, I suppose it's part of what the wonders of the car world. You get, we were at Goodwood Festival of Speed the other week, and that was glorious in its own way. But then we've been at Fotu, very a different event, but just enjoyable in different ways.
It's a completely different ways. I mean, it's great the fact that we get to appreciate both of them.
Yes.
TBH. I even saw a Polo Harlequin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was quite cool.
I know. I took a photo of that.
Did you?
That wasn't getting away. I didn't take enough photos today. But since we're saying hello to people as well, I thought we ought to say hello to the nice people we sat at. Their stuff's probably out by now because they're fast turnaround, I think. But the nice people from Waymo, not the American delivery self-driving car-y thing.
Yeah.
Waymo with an E, so Waymoe. who've got a brilliant shtick, which is they set up with camp chairs and a little table with a vase of flowers and a framed photo of a Sara Picasso on it. And they sit and watch cars leaving events and just do a little commentary on them and stuff like that. But they asked if you and me would separately
have a little chit-chat.
Sit down and have a little chit-chat in the camping chairs while staff left the festival as the sun was going down and in sight of the eagle glinting.
And it was
beautifully. It was like that light was great, and it just really flattered the lovely job that has been done on the paint.
It was lovely.
And but they were really, really, really lovely people. But again, I mean, Jesus, talk about feeling old today. It was just like they were, that they were younger than a lot of the cars that were at the show, but their sort of interest and enthusiasm for it was heartening. And they're really nice.
They
nice
were
people. Sweet people.
They were great. Do you know what? Do you know what else has made me feel slightly old recently? Was last week, my daughter Kitty May was playing a new phone game.
Yes.
And she was into it, really into it. She kept giggling, and I could hear all the sound effects. And I was like, "What's this game?" And she went, "Oh, it's Flight Attendant Simulator."
What?
I said, "What? Flight attendant simulator? What, like an air hostess or an air host?" And she went, "Yeah, it's exactly what." She said, "I love it. It's great. I want to do it when I'm older." And I said, "Right. So can I just sit and watch for a bit?" So she had to get people onto the plane.
Yeah.
Make sure that if they had dietary requirements, take a note. She had to do the safety briefing. She had to make sure that everyone got drinks and food at the right time.
Yeah.
She had anyone pressed a buzzer, she had to go and ask them what the issue was. And guess what else she had to deal with? The aeroplane having an emergency crash landing.
What?
Yeah, just like suddenly the buzzers come on and the pilot goes,
Jesus Christ.
Brace, brace, brace. They have and they crash landed and some people didn't make it.
Oh my God.
Like, this is dark.
But also, why are we having difficult and stressful job simulator that teenagers are playing? Wait till you get an actual job and see how it goes. Don't put yourself through this.
This is what I was like.
This is not fun.
I can hear the buzzer going, meh, 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 brace, brace, crash, land.
No.
I'm like, this is not great.
That. Hey, when we came back from holiday, we flew back into Bristol Airport. We flew out the day that was that big IT crash. But we were flying out of Bristol, and their IT is handled by a Commodore Amiga, so it was all okay. We took off precisely on time, and it was all good. And thankfully, the other end their computer seemed to be working as well. But on the way back,
I know, mate.
It was a tiny bit bumpy as we started to descend, and then it was very cloudy.
Yeah.
And then they went turn off all electronic devices. Now, in recent times, it feels like they've just gone, if it's on aeroplane mode, you're fine.
You'll be fine.
Everything actually feels like it's got quite sort of over-relaxed. Your Bluetooth can stay on because you've got your headphones connected to that. It's okay. You can keep watching something on your phone or your iPad. You can... Here, why don't you light a cigarette? We're kind of relaxed these days on airlines. It's okay. It's good. Go, just enjoy it. It's cool. Keep doing what you're doing. And they went, no, all devices must be off.
Ooh.
And then they went round and policed that to make sure, because lots of people hadn't, including me, actually. My wife had to go, no, she said off. And I was like, no, they just mean aeroplane mode. She went, no, they said off. I was like, are you sure? And then they did the announcement again. I was like, oh. And then they came around and they policed it for the people who still hadn't got the message. And they said, because we're doing a low visibility landing.
Right.
Now, I assume, they just mean, all the stuff on the plane, radar and things, has to be definitely
full beam.
Not getting... Yeah, exactly. The full beams are on, and the front fogs.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe even the bright rear fog.
Yeah, the rabbit lamping roof bar.
Yeah.
It's like...
They do. Yeah.
Light bars on.
do have that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm assuming we have lots of clever listeners who know about these things. I'm assuming someone will know more about why this might be. This was an EasyJet flight to Bristol. Someone did tell me a while ago that the reason that Bristol Airport is quite quiet in the winter is just because it is prone to khaki visibility and fog and stuff like that because of being, I don't know, near the sea. And but no, we were made to turn everything off, and it was a bit. But you suddenly, and my wife went, do you think this is all normal? I was like, oh, I'm sure it's fine. They just need to make sure their
They're just
parking
focusing.
sensors work. But
Yeah.
but I did cross my mind. I was like, oh, is this what they tell you before? Because I think the plane's about to plunge into the Bristol Channel or something. Don't know why they'd make you turn your phone off for that. You might as well have it on to ring your loved ones before you smash into the water. It was all fine. It was a very smooth landing. It was very cloudy. It was one of those ones where it's like, we're in cloud, we're descending, we're in cloud, we're still in cloud. When it popped out of the cloud, it's, oh my God, you can see people's faces on the ground with that close. And then we landed. And it was wet as well. It was all fine. But I've never had that in recent times. Everything off because we're doing a low visibility landing.
I don't like it. I don't like that.
No. But I wouldn't want to simulate. An airline is having an accident simulator. Oh, but by the way, you work for the airline, so this is your responsibility to a point. Because I get like flight simulator because it feels like you're doing something technical.
Yeah.
But just having to work with passengers in an airline.
I don't understand it.
Just
That's what I was saying to her. I don't
annoying.
understand it. I can understand BeamNG, that game, that PC game, which my son keeps insisting that's in his words. Ewan Smith and Sniff. I said no, like I'm Smith.
Oh, this one. You would say, well, he thinks I'm called Smith.
Yeah,
and Sniff.
I think so. She's like, you and Smith and Sniff should do. You should play this live stream this game. And BeamNG is actually really good. It's a PC game, realistic driving simulator, but you can control all the roads that you drive on and the other traffic, and just create carnage. So you can drive into like tankers and you can bunny hop off cliffs, and it's crackers. But I follow someone on Instagram that does all these intentional incidents involving different cars, like stopping distances over ravines and all sorts. It's quite addictive. I think you have to be there, but
yeah, but I could see that. I just don't.
I think you and I should do it after a little bit of Malbec.
Well, you sent me something about it, and I was I think I was tired or doing something else that I couldn't get my brain around it. I was like, I don't understand what this is because I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
BeamNG. Are we allowed to mention your son's channel that he's doing?
Oh, what on? It's on TikTok, isn't it? Yeah, it's on TikTok. Well, do you know what it was? You think it's really funny?
I think it's hilarious, but I don't know why. Because my kids are a bit younger than yours. They will only do something like this to me.
I bought a gimbal, just a cheap gimbal for my phone to do better stuff on social media. Wesson, my son, saw me unwrapping it and went, Is that a gimbal? I went, yeah, it is, yeah. So he said, oh, can I have a go on it? And then it's blown his mind at what it's capable of doing.
It's good. I mean, it blew my mind when you told me how much it was.
Amazing what you can get for £100 now.
I thought you said it was 80 quid.
It was 80 quid. All right.
But just because that's even more amazing.
Yeah, 83 quid.
So 20 less.
So he said, oh, can I just have a go in it now? And he was dicking around with it and kind of learnt the ropes of it straight away. But I had to cook dinner. So he started filming me and directing me every single move I was making while I was preparing dinner, which was a vegetarian spaghetti bolognese. I'm not a great cook. I'm average at best. He filmed it all, every single part of the process, and then went, I'm gonna all edit it, and I said, great, you're learning to edit, you're learning how to film. That's interesting. He's going, no, I'm going to set up a new channel. I'm going to set up a new channel on TikTok, and it's going to be called Dad's Average Cooking. my dad's average cooking.
So withering.
And it's true, I do cook averagely. So he's done one video and he now keeps going, right, okay, Daddy. So next time we've got to record it quick. We've got to record your curry, and then we're going to do your pasta and pesto dish. I went, okay, all right, we can do this. He's convinced that he's going to be, I don't know, he's going to earn a hearty living off this immediately in that way that young kids seem to do these days.
But then the worry is that actually it really takes off, and then it's like, do you lean into the averageness? Do you start deliberately? Are you like learning new recipes but then trying to average them a bit? Just going, no.
Oh, well, don't you worry about that, son. I've got that. I've got that all sorted.
That's naturally within your grasp.
Oh, that's me. I wouldn't worry about that one little bit.
Okay, you've got this.
I'm all good on that front.
What else were we talking about? Oh, I know what we were talking about earlier on. We got back from off of the photos. I was mentioning to you how I suddenly became slightly obsessed last week with the lyrics to the Boy George song, The Crying Game. And specifically, I know all there is to know about The Crying Game. And you just go, do you though? It seems a bit boastful. Are you sure, George? What year was The Crying Game introduced? I don't know. Where was The Crying Game first made?
Yeah.
What colour was The Crying Game when it first came out?
Yeah.
How many flavours of The Crying Game are there? All right, I don't know these things. You don't know everything.
How many trim levels of The Crying Game were there?
Exactly. The diesel version of The Crying Game had an engine from which other manufacturer? I can't remember. Well, you don't know everything about The Crying Game then, do you, George?
No.
You're fibbing.
Yeah.
You were trying to impress the bigger lads.
The Crying Game.
Yeah, right. My uncle used to be in the SAS, and he has told me everything about The Crying Game. So now I know all there is to know about The Crying Game. Do you?
He's like
Really?
Jay from The In-Betweeners.
Have you ever actually done The Crying Game?
Yeah.
No, but I've seen it.
I've seen it.
When? Oh, when I was on holiday in France.
I hid in a cupboard and I saw a secret meeting about the other Crying Gamers.
Yeah, they're all there.
Yeah.
So I actually know all there is to know about The Crying Game. You don't. Talking shit. You have a superficial knowledge of The Crying Game that you read on Wikipedia.
Oh, Wikipedia.
Now stop boasting.
Is Wikipedia still going?
Yes, it's still
It
going.
needs to just go away.
When did you think? Why?
Because it's all fictitious.
Well,
It's unpoliced, fictitious nonsense.
I think it is sometimes a good jumping off point to do some proper research.
It's
because
just
you
a
can't
made-up
fully
library
trust it.
when there's a real library you could go to.
Well, yes, but if you want to check,
Just
what
written-
Kathy Dennis's middle name is at 11:30 p.m.
No.
You can't go down to your local library and hope that they can help you. They'll be shut.
No, because I could just buy the cover of a book which says the extensive history of the potato, and then when you open it up, it's just got dick drawings in it. And you just go, that's not a history of the
But then
potato.
you'll go down to your local actual library and you'll sign up for it. And by the way, local library's brilliant. We joined our local library when we moved house, and the kids get loads of stuff out there, and it's really good. But
Yeah.
you go down there and they've got a book on display, and it's called The Crying Game by Boy George. And you go, oh, I've heard he knows all there is to know about The Crying Game. And then you look at it and you realise, absolute toss. No, he's making stuff up. The Crying Game is a mammal. And you go, that's not true. What are you talking about? You've got completely confused. What are you on about?
There's too many disco biscuits, son. You need to calm down.
The point where I really started to worry for Boy George was not the depths of his heroin addiction. It was when he thought he was getting a bit tubsy in middle age, and he started painting his throat black, like a two-tone Montego, trying to spruce up the design. It was unbelievable. Seriously, have you ever seen pictures of this? Oh, sorry, Johnny's choking on some Iron Maiden wine. Let me know. Hang on. Do you want me to, how am I going to do this? I can't show you because I can't see my laptop around.
Oh gosh, I swallowed some of the sort of Iron Maiden Malbec at the wrong time. Goodness me!
Yeah, here we go.
He painted his throat black.
Boy George neck paint. Yeah, he started painting his neck.
Was he a heroin addict?
Yeah,
Was he? I didn't know that.
yeah.
So do you still think he knows everything there is to know about The Crying Game?
I think he did so much horse that it's damaged his memory for The Crying Game, but he's still claiming. Because he did that track in the 90s, didn't he? So
Yeah, it's a sad track.
well, I was
It's
for the movie
sad.
The Crying Game, so maybe I know that all there is to know about The Crying Game brackets the film.
Crying.
Yeah.
What, so if he went on Mastermind,
Yes.
boy, Mister,
Your name,
George, boy.
brackets George, comma, boy.
specialist subject,
The Crying Game.
The Crying Game.
Okay.
Okay, question one.
Yeah. Who played the lead in The Crying Game? Liam Neeson? Incorrect. What year was The Crying Game made? 1974? No, that's not right either. You don't know anything about The Crying Game, you prick. What are you doing? Why did you make that record saying you did?
Yeah, idiot.
Idiot.
Yeah.
What's The Crying Game set?
you throat
Venezuela?
painter.
Fuck's sake, George. You throat painter. Sounds like a type of wading bird.
I did. The other day I was driving really sensibly and someone just kept I was in an old car, and I have a real problem with people that don't respect older cars. It's like people that don't respect older people. You have to understand they're slower. They need a bit more time, and I think a little bit more consideration. So I was in one of my oldies, and this person in an Audi just kept like poking right up my back door. And for the first time in such a long time, I looked in the rearview mirror and I mimed 2 words.
Crying game.
No, it wasn't crying game. It was. I just looked at the person's face and I went, "You skin chimney." and I realised afterwards, when I'd calmed down a little, I realised, God, I haven't said skin chimney in ages.
I'm not. If they saw you mouthing something, I'm not sure they. They wouldn't.
know.
Certain things like twat.
They wouldn't
know what they said. Skin chimney.
They wouldn't know about skin chimney.
You say skiffle?
Yeah.
Skinful of what? I don't get it. I don't know.
It's the Mary Poppins song. Skin chimney, skin chimney, skin chimney.
Very different.
You're an aggressive Audi driver and stick it up your flue.
I haven't heard that expression.
Skin chimney?
No.
Oh.
I mean, I had heard it. I haven't heard it for ages.
No, yeah, well, quite.
Which, I don't know, maybe I've just been driving well recently and no one shouted. I mean, no.
Well, in the words of Boy George, I know everything there is to know about the skin chimney game.
Do you?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not really.
You
it's
and,
not even a game.
Boy George in a head-to-head on tipping points or something.
No. But I'm
or
going
the chase with the chaser.
Do you know what?
Boy George, you're up against
Johnny Smith.
Ken. No, what are the chasers' names? I can't remember.
Oh gosh, I've only watched The Chase once when I had the flu.
Yeah,
and I was a bit fever dreaming it anyway.
I know all there is to know about The Chase. Do you? No, I've only watched it once, and I was delirious. I can't remember what we're saying. It doesn't matter.
The Chase.
Oh, going on The Chase. Just Boy George on The Chase against one of those very stern pub quizzy ultra people.
Toyota Chaser.
I know all there is to know about the Ford Orion game. Would be an entirely different thing as well. I didn't see any Orions today.
I saw one very early Onion on hubcaps on wheel trims, and but from a distance, I didn't see it close up. It was in a boring colour, with non-body colour bumpers, of course.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those cars that looks really old all of a sudden, I think.
But they always looked a little trad in their day, deliberately so, because I think that car was sort of created for people who found the Sierra frightening.
Well, there was a Sierra that was quite frightening.
Oh, the beige one?
I might have said the beige early first gen with the sort of sad face. I think it's got a sad face.
It has got a little bit of a sad face, yes.
It's got the narrow headlights make it look slightly sad.
Yeah.
And it was that horrible beige, and it was smoking. The exhaust was smoking.
It was a 1.6, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit asthmatic, and I would say, I remember as a kid, that car was driven by a certain guy.
When new?
Not when new.
Oh, okay.
When I was a kid, let's think. So let's call it around sort of 89, 90. So that car would have been
a
little older.
Third.
And if it was a base model Sierra, it wouldn't have had great residuals.
No.
And I just remember I used to see a lot of smoking ones, but the driver would often smoke, but with the windows up.
Yeah. Well,
and he would look a little dodgy.
Because a low-spec Sierra 1.6 petrol is probably at that point of no interest to the cab trade. They're going to want the diesel.
Which was an appalling thing.
Yes.
Because there used to be a farmer's son that used to come to the pub in one and clearly ran it on a bit of cherry from the farm.
Yeah.
Because you would.
Yeah.
But it was so hopelessly slow. So slow.
Was it not a 2.3?
Yeah.
So it's quite a large capacity.
Yeah, but no turbo.
But absolutely just a dog rough engine. Of a like we just don't see anymore.
Well, we saw a Montego at the Festival of the Unexceptional. It was a Perkins diesel.
Yes.
Which I think they're quite slow.
And that lovely chap from the Netherlands who'd come over in his Montego.
Oh, yeah.
And had bought a Montego, not the one he was in, I think, but another one. He bought an estate in the UK and then converted it to left-hand drive.
Yeah. And he was a young guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if you saw him, the last thing in the world you'd expect him to be is into Austin Montegos.
It's a good point.
But I love that.
There he was, absolutely Montegoing with pride. And actually, there were quite a few Dutch cars there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, but then someone was telling me that there is a Dutch equivalent of the Festival of the Unexceptional.
No way.
I feel like we should go.
I was just about to say, we have to go.
Yeah.
Saddle up the Eagle.
I'll have to try saddle up.
I don't think anyone's ever saddled up an Eagle, but you know what I mean.
I don't know when it is or where it is or anything about it.
Unsheath the Eagle.
Unsheath, yes.
Because
de-sleeve the Eagle.
De-sleeving the Eagle sounds awful.
It does sound really rude, I'm sorry.
But by that you mean sort of like let the bird of prey
let it fly free.
Take the hood off the hawk.
Yes. That still sounds rude.
That sounds even worse.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean. You know what I bloody mean.
Well, we should wrap this up, but I just want to close on one of the standout cars for me, not a specific car, but a make and model of car that I have a real sudden, semi-inexplicable crush. Yeah, crush is a good word.
I love the term crush.
I was going to say craving, but it is a crush. I have a bit of a crush all of a sudden. There was probably always there, but it's really flared up because there were a few examples at the photos. Mark 1 Renault Twingo.
Yeah.
Oh.
I knew you'd say that.
Really fancy one of those.
Yeah, and young people seem to be down with it.
They do.
Yeah.
Maybe
I like
that's
that.
it. Maybe I'm too old and square
You're
to be
not.
driving a Mark 1 Twingo. I'll just look ridiculous.
No, you won't.
Look at him in his silly, small, left-hand drive car.
I saw a guy on the way out driving, I reckon he was under 20 years old, driving a Renault 20.
What?
It was a Renault 20. I'm sure it was.
Not a 25? The sort of, the kind of big hatchback from the late 70s,
Yeah.
80s, yeah. Really? I missed that.
Yeah, and
Wow.
was driving it quite fast, and he wore what looked like, I don't know, like a borrowed shirt from his late uncle. I don't know, just, no offence, obviously.
Now, because I feel like when I was a kid that Renault 20s and 30s were one of those cars that always seemed to be being driven fast. I don't know whether they had a very urgent engine in them for whatever spec
What,
they
like
were.
a jammed throttle.
Yeah. They were terribly susceptible to a jammed throttle. No, it just always felt like they were sort of one of those cars that they were always just driven quite, not aggressively, just quickly, but I don't know. Maybe they could, because they had good road holding, as people used to say.
I remember, it's funny the stupid memories that you hold on to that don't really mean anything. My most vivid memory of a Renault Fuego Turbo.
Yes.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I must have been about 9.
Yeah.
And I saw it going down one of the main streets in Taunton, and it was going probably twice the speed limit, but it was kangarooing violently.
What?
Like someone was going full throttle and full brake, full throttle. You know, like when when race drivers do a warm up to get temperature into the brakes and the tyres.
Yeah.
They do it a lot at Goodwood Festival of Speed at the start.
Yeah.
They go,
Yeah.
It's like he was doing that on the main street.
What?
But I think there was a bigger problem.
Horrible malfunction in the car.
I think he was fighting the wide open throttle with the brake, and every time he came off the brakes to see if he'd unseized something, it just came back on.
Shit.
Like the car's fighting itself.
Yeah.
Has anybody had that where the car is fighting itself?
Speaking of which, as things were leaving this evening, I was talking to somebody and I suddenly interrupted proceedings. It was actually our friend Lewis, so it's okay. He understands I'm a bit strange. And there was a Citroen Xantia Activa. And as it was leaving, I suddenly spotted the Activa badge on the back. I hadn't clocked it before. And I was like, bloody hell, it's a Xantia Activa. And then, almost as I said it, the driver just started. It wasn't going very fast. Probably any car would have looked like this. But the driver on the fairly narrow driveway out of the
Grimsthorpe
Castle. He started weaving side to side as if to show off his anti-roll suspension. Lovely.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a good time to conclude things before we go. I have 3 things to tell you. They are one, that Johnny has a solo YouTube channel. It's called The Lay Lady Lay Show, in which he just repeatedly covers a Bob Dylan track from the late 60s instead of getting on with reviewing cars and doing barn finds. if that's not your taste, watch his Late Break Show where he does review cars and do bar finds. And this isn't going out for 2 weeks, so you probably don't know.
Oh, I've got no idea.
Oh, you're checking your diary.
I'm trying to check my diary frantically because I realised you were just about to ask me a question I didn't know the answer to.
I don't know what date this will go out on because I'm quite tired now. Oh, the 5th, I think. 5th of August.
What I would say is Lay Lady Lay is probably, I think, the only good Bob Dylan song. I don't like Bob Dylan.
Well, he's a great songwriter, but it's often when people cover his songs you realise how good he is because they're great songs, but he just sings them like Kermit the Frog these days, and it's a bit weird.
Yes. I think it's also, I grew up with my dad constantly. Anytime a Bob Dylan song came on, he'd be like, he just simply can't sing. What's the point in all of this?
This man simply can't sing.
But then, bless you, Dad, I love you. I've still not quite forgiven you for the fact that when you were at university in Liverpool and your friend had a ticket to a Jimi Hendrix Experience gig and offered it to you, you just thought, nah, I just don't think I'm feeling up to it to go. It's like, what?
I hope you didn't say, now look, that man simply can't play guitar.
Yeah, no, he knows.
He's mucking around too much.
No, Hendrix, he knew that Hendrix could play. I don't know how early it was in Hendrix's career. Let's hope it was early, Dad. Yeah. But I saw a few Montegos today and thought about you. The white ones with the slightly stainy sills and arches. Because when the rust starts just bleeding through, and you know it's the beginning of the end.
Yeah, by the time you see it, it's too late. Yeah. Second thing I've got to tell you is I have various books out. Boring Car Trivia 4, that's one of them. Lots of facts about cars in there, as you'd guess. Please go and buy it from Amazon as a paperback or at ebook. And the third thing I've got to tell you is, now this is a fact given to us at Festival of the Unexceptional by Rich Tyso, who was also the winner of our first round of the Wheel Trim of Misfortune quiz that we did on stage. So well done to Rich for that.
Yeah, clever guy.
Good knowledge. But then, just sort of casually in passing afterwards, we were chatting to him off stage, and he said, oh, by the way, I've got a fact for you. You know the Suzanne Vega song, Tom's Diner? Mm-hmm. Inspired by a diner called Tom's in New York, which was also the diner/restaurant used for the exterior shots of the diner in Seinfeld.
Oh.
So every time...
Is that... Yeah, that one.
Well, she wrote that about sitting in Tom's Diner. People have figured out this must be true because they've worked out all the references. You know, she said the bells of the cathedral and stuff, and it's near the cathedral. So it's definitely... And it's called Tom's, which is a bit of a big clue as well.
I was just about to say, it doesn't involve like that much detective work.
Seinfeld, they, in earlier shows, they showed the full frontage where it says Tom's Restaurant in big red neon letters, and then... because actually the diner in the show, where the interior didn't even remotely match what you saw in the exterior shot. I don't know why they bothered. But they were supposed to be called monks, so they started cropping out the Toms, so it just appeared to say restaurant in big letters. Still didn't quite match because it was a diner, if you're going to be picky. Anyway, yeah, that's an amazing fact. I didn't know. So what links Suzanne Vega and Seinfeld. And
Suzanne Chevy Vega.
Suzanne Chevy Vega. She was transported everywhere, standing upright in a railway carriage. And I actually on that slightly nerdy note,
I quite like the Chevy Vega.
I know. Guys, look, hey,
guys, listen.
It's time to end. Thank you ever so much for listening, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, mate. Bye.
So you've enjoyed this podcast, but you've had a thought. Is there a way here today that you could show support? Well, you could join our Patreon. What wonders that it brings. Early shows and extra notes on that side of things. You could buy our merchandise. We've mugs and hats, but still no ties. One day we will make those pies, but in the meantime, guys, hey guys, like and subscribe, and maybe leave a nice review. Like and subscribe, we know you know just what to do. Like and subscribe, we don't want to take the piss. Like and subscribe, but we were told to ask for this. subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.